With us now is Ian Bremmer, founding president of Eurasia Group, a global political risk consulting company. Good morning, Ian.
Morning to you.
What can the U.S. do back to Russia?
Well, very little at this point. I mean, we have only a few weeks before Obama's gone, and it seems pretty clear from everything that Trump has said about Russia that his inclination is not only to disbelieve the intelligence, but to cozy up with this country as closely as possible. So the time of Obama's choosing is clearly running out.
What are the implications of that, the Trump-Russia relationship?
Well, I mean, one is it undermines the U.S. intelligence community, and that's certainly something that Trump is going to need for all sorts of other things as president. I think that weakens the ability of America to project strength internationally, as we're seeing playing out in China, for example. But the other question is, do you have alliances that are actually organized around common values, common structures, common architecture? Russia's a very different place than that, and right now our relationship with them is probably as bad as it's been since Andropov in the early 80s. No. That's going to change pretty dramatically when Trump becomes president.
But does the hacking scandal, Ian, in any way complicate the hope to reset relations with Russia for this new Trump administration?
Well, certainly Obama's hope is that it will, and the fact that they've ordered this comprehensive intelligence review, which they will make known at least to the Democrats and Republicans in Congress, certainly a lot of that is going to get leaked. The hope is that that constrains Trump from being able to cozy up with the Russians, who will be seen to have compromised American national security. But keep in mind, this went on under Obama. The response from the United States was not very strong, and part of the reason it's hard for the Democrats to hit Trump on this is because consistently Russia's been the biggest failed policy under Obama in terms of Syria, in terms of Ukraine, and now in terms of the hacks as well.
Huh. And what do you think Russia's doing now? President Obama said in his news conference that the hacking had stopped after he confronted Putin. Donna Brazile said yesterday on a program, well, no, that's not necessarily true. What do you think about the disconnect between that, and what do you think Russia's thinking as they're watching us now? Because it has certainly caused a lot of controversy here in this country.
Look, Russia's thinking that they certainly have delegitimized the American election. They've put a lot of questions in people's minds as to whether or not this was an effective democratic process or not. We're seen as hypocrites. And, the United States has tried to show the Russians as hypocrites historically. They say they have their own democratic process, and of course we know that's not really true. Mm-hmm. They pretend to have rule of law. It doesn't really work. So, they're giving it back to us right now. But the Americans consistently look weak to Russia on so many of these issues. And certainly when Obama tells Putin, oh, cut it out, it's not like he's the little brother. Stop it. Stop touching me, right? I mean, you have to actually react. And this isn't over now. The Germans and the French have elections coming up, and we know that the Russians intend to influence the outcome of those elections. Now, by the way, in this case, influence them in ways that Mr. Trump would support in favor of the far-right Eurosceptic parties, in ways that Obama would dislike. That's an enormous win for the Russians.
Well, the president says there will be a reaction. We will see.
We need to get to China quickly if we can. Sure. What are the Chinese trying to accomplish with their seizing of this drone off the Philippines?
And they say they're going to give it back. They're showing that
Donald Trump said he doesn't want it back, though.
Yeah, well, Trump just reacted with a tweet. But the fact is that the Chinese could have been doing this 6 months ago, 12 months ago. They're not. The fact that they're doing it now shows that they clearly don't like the statements that have been made by President-elect Trump on a host of issues with China. And, unlike a lot of other countries, if the Americans really decide they're going to escalate versus China, the Chinese have the capability to give it right back. Trump really believes that America has a much stronger negotiating position internationally, and the Chinese are going to show him that the reality is very unlike that.
You believe the seizing of that drone was a provocative act aimed specifically at Trump?
Oh, there's no question that the Chinese, they've done a lot more military exercises, live fire in the region. They overflew with a nuclear-capable bomber. And now they've allowed their sailors in the region to be more aggressive in responding to a drone being available. They wouldn't have done that 6 months ago. This is a message to Trump.
And they did it in international waters.
Yes.
All right. Message received. Thank you very much, Ian Bremmer.